Hello, lovelies. Welcome to Nut Free Formula. My name is Freedom. Thank you for joining me this evening. And tonight's episode, I wanted to talk about should I stay or should I go? A lot of women find themselves in this situation where they really do not know whether or not it's time to leave. It can be really, really confusing. And when you're involved with a narcissist, a psychopath, or a sociopath, even more so. So before I start, can I ask, if you like my videos, please remember to like them, subscribe to the channel, and also to help me grow the channel, please share the videos on other social media platforms. All right, lovelies, I don't have any notes tonight. I'm just going to speak off the top of my head. But I just wanted to say, look, there are two things I think that that are kind of, key red flags. And that is if you're dealing with someone who is abusive. So whether they're physically or emotionally abusive, it doesn't even matter. I mean, I hear a lot of people justifying bad behavior from their partners, saying, oh, well, he doesn't hit me, or, he's abusive, but he doesn't hit me. Or if he is physically abusive, they say, oh, well, he only pushes and shoves. It's not like he hits me, like he doesn't punch me. Or then the ones that do get punched say, oh, he doesn't do it all the time. It's just something that happens occasionally. But the thing is, I've just got to say, what happens is when you start losing perspective, and that's what's going on in these particular situations. These women are losing perspective. A push becomes a shove, becomes a slap, becomes a punch, becomes being thrown around, being thrown downstairs, being beaten up, being choked, being murdered. I mean, this is literally how it progresses. Most abusers don't start off being physically abusive. Most of them start off with subtle little transgressions. So, maybe they are emotionally abusive, maybe they're snappy, they're moody. That's where it starts. Ultimately, if someone has progressed to the stage where you are scared of them, where they are physically hurting you, where you are in fear of being hurt, these are all get out now flags. This is not should I stay or should I go? This is you should go. You should have gone before it got to this stage. Okay? Don't let it get to the next level of violence, because you are losing perspective. You are thinking that it is okay and that you deserve it. On some level, you're thinking you deserve it. On some level, you are thinking that his justifications or whatever bullshit he is saying, oh, it was the drugs that made me do it, or you made me do it because you said this, or I know the lack of drugs made me do it. There are so many excuses that abusers give and use to justify their behavior. The reality is they are just that. They are excuses, they are lies, and they're bullshit. Okay? Abusers don't go around abusing everyone. Isn't it amazing how he can control his temper when it comes to talking to the police? Or he can control, his jealousy and his violent obsessions and his violent outbursts, with the general public. But when it comes to you, he can't control himself? He can control himself, but he chooses not to because he knows that you're not going to leave. And this is what an abuser wants. An abuser wants someone that they can abuse. And the longer you stay, the more you're losing perspective. You're telling yourself that this man loves you. He doesn't love you. If he's hitting you, hurting you, keeping you in fear, if you're walking on eggshells, if you don't know, if every day you're going through this confusion, should I leave, should I stay? All of that is abusive. Okay? All of that is toxic. All of that is unhealthy. And all of that is domestic violence, and you have to leave, because no one other than you has the key to get you out of the prison that you're in. He's not going to unlock that door for you. He's not going to say, oh no, off you go. You know, I don't have a right to treat you like this. He's going to keep you there for as long as he can. You're the only person who can set yourself free. So this is a huge red flag. This is not actually, no, this isn't a red flag. This is not negotiable. If you are being physically hurt, if you're scared of being physically hurt, if you're being threatened, if you're being intimidated and controlled and manipulated, all of this is abuse. It's not love, it's just abuse. And please, 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 take it seriously. As I said, because the longer you stay, the more you're going to justify his behavior, and the more you're going to think that you deserve it. And, you know, after 10 years of being abused, your self-esteem is going to be so low. You know, your self-worth, you know, quite literally, the longer you stay, the harder it is actually going to get to escape. But the worst thing is, after he's finished abusing you and he's made you into a shadow of your former self, that's when abusers start looking around and going, oh, well, you know, I deserve better than you. You know, look at you, you're so nervous and jumpy, and, you know, you've got no self-esteem or self-worth. I think I deserve better. And then you'll have to deal with, you know, that, which happens too, you know, him looking for a new supply or a new woman in front of you, knowing full well that he made you into this shadow of your former self. But in his mind, because you stayed, you let him do it. So please, physical violence, any abuse, these are not red flags. These are not, should I stay, should I go? This is, you should go. You need to go. Okay, this is how women end up dying at the hands of these abusers. And not just dying, you know, they end up maimed, they end up in wheelchairs, you know, they end up losing eyes, and they, you know, because of eye damage, because of being punched in the face. I mean, this is serious stuff that we are dealing with. You know, while you're Googling, oh, should I take him back? You know, you need to concentrate and focus on what's really going on. Okay? This is not negotiable. Physical violence is not negotiable. Abusers do not change. They will tell you they will change. They might even stop for a while. Okay? But if they're a narcissist, a psychopath, or a sociopath, that disorder, they will not change. Okay? So they may just change up the abuse for a while. You may get a reprieve from physical abuse. It might just become a mental and psychological abuse. Or it might become sexual abuse, financial abuse. There's a whole lot of different ways an abuser can abuse someone. But as I said, you're the only person that can set yourself free. So if you're even asking the question, if you even got onto this video, what is in you that made you question whether or not you should be staying or should you be going? If it's abuse and violence, you should be going. If it's because he's cheating, that in itself is a form of abuse. You know, he's destroying your self-esteem, your self-worth, your belief in yourself. You know, self-esteem, that, you know, that kind of stuff, that counts for something. And when someone is destroying that in you, that in my, well, not just in my books, but in a lot of people's minds, that's abuse. And, you know, cheaters, yeah, you know, once a cheater, always a cheater. I don't believe that they change. I believe that they just find ways of getting better at it so they don't get caught. I really do. I mean, you just got to ask yourself, what kind of person, you know, can lie to the person that they supposedly love or committed their life to, or, you know, whatever, you know, and then go to have sex with another person behind that loved one's back. You know, what kind of person can literally drive someone mad? You know, when women are trying to find out if they're being cheated on, you know, it literally drives them mad. They become like detectives, you know, they're looking at social media and, you know, going through his phone and, you know, that kind of stuff. That's just so unhealthy. If you've gotten to that point in your relationship, I'd say it's time for Splitsville. I really would. I mean, these are the two kind of main big ones that, as I said, if you've gotten to that point, I think it's safe to say that whatever you have is probably not worth salvaging. Because I know that from personal experience that once someone's cheated on you, you know, you think and you want to build up trust, you want to believe in them again, but there's that seed of doubt and that whole thing of, you know, if they've done it once, they can do it again. And they, you know, 99% of them, they'll do it again. You know, it's that whole thing of, you know, fool me once, shame on you, fool me twice, shame on me. You know, they will. If you give them the opportunity to cheat on you again, they will do it. Because they're just self-entitled. They think they deserve more. You know, they're not ever happy with what they've got. They can have it all, and it's still not enough. And we all know that that's a common attitude with the narcissist, this sense of self-entitlement, self-importance, self-worth, self-grandiosity. You know, they feel like they should be able to do whatever they want. And the rules don't apply to them. You know, in their mind, the rules just do not apply. So, you know, at the end of the day, you've got one life. You know, you can waste it with this man if you want to. You know, it is your life to waste. I mean, you can do literally whatever you want. But if you, like me, are someone who, you know, wants your life to count for something, you know, and you want to, you know, feel good about what you're doing in life and not live in a war zone or not live in a constant state of confusion and doubt. If you are like me, and you want something more, then you need to get out. You know, you're asking the question, should I stay or should I go? You know, ask yourself, well, why are you even asking that? Now, when people are happy, they don't go, oh, should I stay or should I go? It's when people are unhappy that they're asking that. You know, and your instinct and your intuition is there for a reason, and it is telling you what you need to hear. And what I find is a lot of people who stay in these kind of situations, you know, they say, oh, I'm trying to, you know, find evidence of him cheating so that I can leave, you know, or I'm trying to, you know, I don't really know if he's a psychopath or a sociopath, you know, I need to have the evidence before I leave. What I find when people are doing that, it's more to the point. They're not looking for evidence so that they should go. What they're trying to do is they're trying to find evidence for why they should stay. You know, they're hoping, you know, above and beyond all hope, that when they're going through, you know, his internet history or when they're going through his, you know, his messages, that they're going to find something that disproves everything that they're, you know, suspecting, and is going to make them realize 100%, you know, beyond a shadow of doubt that no, that he's actually not a cheater and that I just got it all wrong. You know, and people can spend months, years trying to find something to prove it when in actual fact, you know, their instinct and intuition is telling them, like, you know, you need to listen to yourself. Your instinct and intuition is there for a reason. It is when there's a couple of things that's going on with instinct intuition. One, we've got, you know, the whole sixth senses things going on, but then there's actually different realms above and beyond, you know, our normal states and realms of, you know, the physical realm, spiritual realm, and all the different realms. Apparently, this is something I found quite fascinating. I found this actually the other day. Apparently, there's 11. Science has identified 11 different realms. So basically, what that means is the distance between spirituality and science. The divide between spirituality and science is becoming less and less the more we understand. And so your intuition is picking up. So basically your higher self is communicating to his higher self, is picking up on all of the information that's available in the world. You may or may not be aware of what it is aware of, but it is aware of it. Your higher self knows exactly what's going on. And this is how these messages come through to you. If you learn to listen to your higher self, which is hard and it's scary because, we're kind of taught not to believe in things that we can't see. But as I said, science is now starting to prove that spirituality and science are very linked. And the neurology of the brain and your spirituality is also linked. So getting back to it, your instinct and intuition, it's there. It's telling you everything you need to know. Listen to it. Pay attention. Listen. And for God's sake, if he's physically violent, get out. If he's cheating, you should probably get out. It's another form of abuse. If he's abusive on any level, it's time to get out. This is not negotiable. This is not should I. It's yes, you should. You should have already. The fact that you even have to ask another person that is really concerning, and it shows just how much he has already undermined and eroded your sense of self-value. Just think about it this way. If you saw him physically hurt your child the way he hurts you, would you be okay with it? No, you wouldn't. Okay, if you saw him do the same thing that he does to you to a stranger, would you be okay with it? No, you wouldn't. Okay, so you are just as valuable as anyone else, despite what his actions say. And it's hard to believe that you actually do have value when someone is abusing you, when someone is physically abusing you, when someone's emotionally abusing you, because, the underlying message, I suppose, is that you don't have any worth. You don't have any value. Because if you did, how could the person who says they love you hurt you? So this is where the mixed signals come in, which is how they do undermine, like I said, your self-esteem and self-worth. And toxic relationships are corrosive. They will literally destroy you from the inside out. All right, lovelies. Please think about it. Just think about why you even clicked onto a video asking if you should stay or if you should go. And why do you need to ask someone outside of the relationship? And if you actually are in a situation where you just don't know, what I would suggest is you go and speak to a counsellor. And I also suggest that you get away from him for a while. Because when you're with an abusive person, it's like being part of a cult. Okay? You really don't know which way is up unless you've been told. You don't realise it, but when you get away from it, you will realise just how much you are being manipulated, how much you're being brainwashed. You just don't realise it, but it is. It's just like being a cult member. So get away from him for a while, have some space, and speak to someone who is not related to you, is not related to him. Do not let him speak to them, for God's sake, because if you do, narcissists are really clever when it comes to speaking to psychiatrists and what have you, counsellors. They will have them literally wrapped around their little finger within, a couple of sessions. And then before you know it, you'll be the bad guy. So do not take them with you. Just go, get some space and get some clarity and realise that you do matter. You do have self-worth and you have value. You matter. All right, lovelies. Thank you for watching. And if you're asking yourself that question, then yes, the answer is yes.